We are at the dawn of a new understanding of the relationship between food and nutrition. It's very clear that in Europe we need a policy to build a better and healthier diet, and that requires research.
The infrastructure we foresee to settle between now and 10 years is the food, nutrition and health research infrastructure. The domain is the food supply chain and the health sector, with in between as a linking pin the consumer. And this research infrastructure is all about data, is all about tools and services. Well, the food and nutrition research infrastructure has two parts. One part is the overarching research infrastructure where all kinds of databases can be linked to and accessible for the research community. And the second part is the consumer data platform where actually data is stored based on research tools in Europe, and where a consumer can upload their data real-time on the spot. So these are the two parts of the research infrastructure.
So nutritionists know every detail on the nutrients you need. Sociologists know everything about the factors that influence your food choice. Psychologists about the individual level of the food choices. But we have to bring those things together. Currently, these are different fields, so we know on average what is good from the social point of view, from the psychological point of view, and from the nutritionist point of view. But we never collect those data at the same time in the same individuals. RICHFIELDS focuses, in fact, on the consumer part. So what is the direct consumer environment and what is the diet of the consumer in everyday life? Making the right dietary choices is not an easy thing. We may have social pressures, we may have peer pressures to eat certain things. We have our parties where things are offered that may not be the best for our health at that moment. It's really a challenge to connect the consumer, who in fact has a very small environment and is triggered by, well, biological responses and social responses on a day-to-day basis, and to connect that to a system which is a global system, which has developed to a global system and affects and is related to our planetary boundaries. These things are so far apart conceptually, but at the same time they are connected. Well, the challenge is to connect those two, and we think that the research infrastructure may really be helpful to do that.
In order to get such a consolidated effort, it's very important that researchers in the European context work together in a much more systematic way, so that they can exchange data, that they can align methodologies and interpret their results in the framework of an overall European policy that is useful to every country and to Europe as a whole.
Now, taking the societal challenges in account, like food sustainability and food security, of course the consumer is key. But besides the consumer, it's very important that the changing of behavior feed in towards the supply chain, and that they elaborate together with the industry, the food industry and the retail, but also the out-of-home situation, that they elaborate on these information to come up with innovations supporting these societal challenges.
In 50 years, I think we have achieved by this research infrastructure a very efficient and easygoing exchange of data with a very rich type of information of all kinds, of all levels. So it would be as easy to get the data you need to answer a certain research question as it is now to use Google for the simple daily life questions. We are going through a data revolution, we are going through a societal transition with respect to food and nutrition, but it also implies that research itself and science has to be in transition and to change itself to be ready for a future to live within the planetary boundaries.